Recording on this computer, we're going.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to our first Mastermind Monday of 2021. So excited to be here today and bring you some really timely and great information from Melanie Barker of California. But first, I want to turn this over to my esteemed colleague, Nora Lynch, who is our 2021 Education Chair. So excited for this year for so many reasons, and so excited to be working alongside you, Nora.
Thanks, Lisa. And it's really nice to be here, and Happy New Year, everyone. So we're going live on Facebook. I think we're live on Facebook. So this is going to be interesting on the group. And I'm so excited to have Melanie Barker all the way from Oakhurst, California, which is Northern California. She can explain a little bit where that is. And just as a little preview, well, how do I know Melanie? Well, Melanie and I were doing a Jack Canfield program and found out in a breakout room, like out of 1,000 people, in a breakout group that we were in his same program, and that also we both were realtors. And so then we got talking and everything else. So and we're both trainers with his success principles in training. So that was really a fun little tidbit of relationships, building relationships and making all the connections. And Melanie is also committed this quarter to getting her CRS. So I said, as long as you get that CRS, you're in. So, and I thought this year too was really important, as I mentioned in the post, that as we're paying our dues for GBAR, which then feeds up, or whatever local organization, it feeds up the chain to our state and then national. So Melanie, if I can read your introduction to everyone. You're the co-owner of an independent brokerage firm named Gemini Real Estate Group, located in Oakhurst, California. And you've been in business for 15 years, and she's been in organized real estate and leadership, forget this, 14 and a half years. I don't know anybody that started off so soon in the real estate career and leadership. So good for you. She jokes that she doesn't know any better. Melanie currently serves as NAR Director of the California Association of Realtors, the Director in Fresno Association of Realtors for 2020, Treasurer. In California, she's also the committee liaison to the state and federal policy committees. And especially for NAR in 2021, she is serving as the chair of Federal Finance and Housing Policy Committee. And then the other thing which we might have time to check in on is Melanie's going to be inducted to NAR's RPAC, REALTOR Political Action Committee 2021 Hall of Fame. So that's awesome. Melanie is passionate about the real estate industry and knows what each realtor does matter to people's lives of the clients and customers they serve. And with all of her service commitments, Melanie is a top producing agent in her community with 48 transaction size closed for dollar volume of over 12 million this past year. So Melanie, thank you for being here.
It's absolutely my pleasure. And so I actually managed to close at 50 this year. The last two on New Year's Eve.
Very good, very good. So can you just tell me a little bit about how you got started in the business and what was your first role in organized real estate? And then I know you're going to share something with us live on screen here.
Yeah, so I think if it's okay with you, I'm just going to go ahead and switch over to my screen share now, since that's kind of part of the conversation. And share. All right. So hopefully y'all can see this. So most people will recognize the area that I live is just outside. I'm 13 miles south of the southern entrance to Yosemite National Park. So most people will come through my community as a result of the national park. So no, it is not in Idaho and Montana, which is where Yellowstone is. Okay, we are Yosemite, California. So I'm going to try this, you guys. I haven't done this live, so I'm going to see if I can make this work. Okay, it's not working. It's not letting me. How do I advance? Nora, do I need to, if I hit escape, what's going to happen? Whoops, crap. We'll go back to share screen. Okay, so
when you're in,
there we go. I'll just do it this way. This is fine. Okay, so but where I actually live looks like this. So this is, we actually have a local Indian gaming casino. This over here is our normal, like this is a community course school. This is the view into the town that I live in, the Oakhurst Valley. This is Bass Lake down here in the right corner, which is a resort lake. So there's two reasons to bring people to our community. And then these are the typical homes that I sell. These are 3 of these right here are listings that I have sold in my community. So a lot of ranch style houses, not a lot of 2-story, not a lot of this one in the lower left is kind of a little bit hard to see in the background, super typical style. So they're kind of not that exciting. So not cute like some of the stuff you guys have on the East Coast. So anyway, so I got into real estate in the ultimate bait and switch. It was 2004. So it was having some family situations. I was working in Silicon Valley and my family really needed me to come back to my community. And I said, okay. I ended up buying a house. My mom was a realtor. And she says, you know, I really, really think you would be good in real estate. And I said, Mom, I can't work on commission only. I mean, the fear was just overwhelming to work on commission only, right? I have a mortgage, I have responsibilities, like that's just not going to happen, right? And she says, okay, well, don't worry. Do it this way. Just get licensed. Humor me and just get licensed. All right, Mom. And then you can work part-time. Okay, I can do that. That's fine. So I get licensed in November of 2004. And mind you, let's see, the conversation started in May, right? So all this time I'm thinking, great, I get to do this part-time. It'll be awesome. I'll help my mom out, whatever. In November, she says, nope, sorry, we don't like part-time realtors. You're going to have to work full-time. And I was like, what? So that's how I got involved in real estate. And then as far as getting involved in leadership, that was a little bit different. That one was actually not my mom's idea because she was afraid of some sort of nepotism. And it was another agent in our community that served on the board and called and said, hey, will you serve on our board of directors at the local level? And at the time, we were a small association, Yosemite Gateway. We merged when I was president the second time in 2015. So anyway, so that's how I got involved. And so the first thing that I got involved with, which is really kind of my passion, is our policy side. And I was a realtor volunteer government affairs director. And I don't know what you know about government affairs directors. Oftentimes they are a staff role, but we were such a small association that we weren't able to do that. So I got involved in the policy side, and that was within about 6 months of me getting licensed. So I went to my first state association meeting. And that's kind of where I found my passion. Is I was like, oh my God, look at all these people. They're so brilliant. They're great. And, you know, the market was good when I got into real estate. And then 2008 hits, and it's, you know, your basic mess. I have a better word for it, and we all can probably have your own word for what 2008 was if you were in the business, right? And the thing that was so cool about being involved was that I didn't have to have the short sale experience or foreclosure experience necessarily, you know, because I was only licensed for about 4 years at that point. And I had all these resources with me. And I could just tap into all these people that I had made friends with around the state. And that was really great. And by 2008, I was actually president of my local association. And, you know, talk about working part-time, full-time, whatever. The market was not good where I was at. Some of our areas lost 50% of the value of their home. And I was working multiple jobs. I was traveling for real estate and still doing real estate full-time, believe it or not. So I was really super busy in 2008. And then on. So then I kind of progressed through some opportunities in California and various positions, including strategic planning in California. And then I got the opportunity to move into NAR leadership. And I did that first before I became an NAR director. I served on, back then, NAR had the strategic planning committee, and I did that for a couple years. And that got me noticed and kind of making friends and stuff at the national level. And then I was honored to be able to serve and do the National Leadership Academy in 2013. And then from there, I moved into, because of the strategic planning side, the research committee. And then, but back in California, I was doing a lot of the policy stuff again, and served on a lot of task forces and things like that, particularly because our housing crisis in limited supply had started much earlier than the rest of the United States. And so I was working on various task forces. And so when John Smaby called me in 2018, I guess, and said, hey, you know, what do you want to do? What do you want to do for NAR? And I was like, oh, you know, really, I'm back on the policy side of things. And that's really where I probably need to be. And I can bring the experience, because the housing crisis by then was starting to move through the rest of the United States, and help our committee members understand, you know, what they could do and maybe provide some solutions. Well, what I didn't know was that he was actually asking me if I was going to do this as a liaison for him. He forgot that part. So I show up at the first like private meeting, and I'm like, oh, here I am, right? And so that was really fun. It was super honor. I traveled a lot. I did travel on behalf of the PAC as well, on RPAC, and I had a really great time. It was such an incredible experience. And then because of that policy side and my relationship and friendship I developed with Charlie Oppler, and him seeing how much work I had done as a liaison, he offered me the vice chair position for federal finance housing policy. And then of course I moved into the chair position this year, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. In 2012, I applied to be a NAR director via California. And so I am an NAR director on behalf of California, and my appointment will go till 2022, and then I reapply again. So that's kind of how it works. So a little bit about our Realtor organization. Now that you know, kind of a little bit about where I'm coming from, who I am, rural community, you know, all that stuff. So you can see that I kind of drew some arrows here to kind of show the way it goes. You know, we tend to look at our organization vertically, but really we're much more this way, because the National Association and State Association is only as strong as the local leadership development and the local leaders that are put forward to state and to national. So it really starts at home. And but we're here to talk about the national side of things. So, but I did want to at least highlight that part. Our dues are paid annually. We have what's called a three-way agreement or a tripartite agreement. And in order to be a realtor, you must participate in all three of our organizations. So most of you probably know that. Another interesting note about NAR is that we're the only trade organization that specifically is focused on protecting private property rights and the business issues for our realtor members. And so that's important to remember. Yeah, there's the builders and, you know, the Mortgage Brokers Association and those guys, but they tend to look much more at their own issues rather than the holistic view that underneath all is the land and protecting those bundle of rights. This year, our 2021 president, as I mentioned, is Charlie Oppler, and his theme is One Together. And so the 2021 NAR strategic priorities are expand housing affordability and equality, champion the realtors as the best resource in the real estate transaction, enhance our member engagement and member experience, and drive community development. And here's the thing that's really cool. For the most part, in each of those areas, we know as a leadership team, because I'm a part of that, right? That we can only do this through collaboration. And that collaboration includes the commercial real estate side, our affiliated institutes and societies and councils. And we know that in this case, this is what you guys are, that it strengthens the community and our industry. And so we know that these things can only be achieved in partnership. So let's talk a little bit about Federal Finance Housing Policy Committee, right? That's the committee that I chair, and this is our mission. I'll try to paraphrase it because it's kind of a lot here, but you can kind of read that if you want to. So monitor and analyze the current prospective federal housing issues affecting FHA, anything related to HUD, anything related to federal multifamily housing programs, and the VA guarantee loan. We have a really great relationship with one of the directors at the VA. He speaks to us often and just a super, super nice guy. And then rural housing programs, which is usually housed under the USDA, believe it or not. And then there's Farmer Mac, Farm Credit. So you get the idea, right? This isn't conventional finance. We have one of those committees too. This is really hyper focused on those true government lending programs that are available to us. So our big picture goal for 2021 is we want to improve housing equality and affordability by strengthening and enhancing the federal mortgage programs and ensure that they're working to serve all Americans. So some of our tactics associated with that, one together, obviously we're talking about collaboration as well. So you'll see that some of our goals really tie into needing to work with some of our other committees, and we're excited to be able to do that. So one of the things that we started working on back in 2020 is the housing voucher program, which is related to Section 8 and falls under HUD, which then falls under us. And basically creating a toolkit that our members can use to talk to their local communities about, and making sure that that program is more effectively used, because landlords tends to, in our experience, shy away from perhaps using that program, and for a whole host of reasons, right? It can be complicated to use. They feel that their properties may not be as protected as they need them to be, as far as, you know, damage and things like that. So that's one of the things that should be rolled out here anytime. We want to expand housing community opportunities in rural housing and rural communities, excuse me. So I can attest to this. One of the issues we have is broadband issues, right? Rural communities need access to technology as much as anybody else does. And so we'll work in conjunction with the Federal Technology Committee in order to talk about what we can do to help expand that. We'll work with the new Fair Housing Committee, which is the equal opportunity housing sector. And then I want to actually talk about something real quick. And one of the things that was implemented this year is called ACT at NAR. And that stands for Accountability, Culture Change, and Training. And this all has to do with fair housing and equality in fair housing. So we're excited about that. And then working with the insurance committee, and it's talking about like community recover after natural disasters. So one of the things we find is that not everybody has the appropriate amount of insurance to fully recover from a natural disaster. And so what does that look like? Is there programs where we can help them rebuild through refinancing structure or something like that? So we are very much at the beginning stages of that, and we'll work with the insurance committee who has done some work on that. I will tell you, I take that very personally, and you can look at this right here. This is called the Courtney Fire. This is Bass Lake. And this fire took out 35 structures. It was a few years ago. But this picture right here is something I live with every summer and have for almost a decade now. And it's, as you know, really, really impacting California. I'm sure you've heard it in the news. The largest single complex fire was actually the Camp Fire, which was right here and surrounded our community as well. And I was evacuated for that one. So it is important that we have real robust conversations around that. So a lot of that conversation is also to lead up to, well, okay, I pay my dues, and that supports the committee structure and the staff working on issues related to maybe our regulatory agencies and different things like that. But the reality is that we live in a highly political climate now. And while we're mighty in numbers, we also need to continue to be mighty in dollars and grow the Realtor Party Action Committee, right? So know that it's voluntary, you can't write it off, but it's what we consider an investment. In California, we call it a contribution. But we consider it an investment. You might have a different name for it politically for the various states. So I want to be careful about what I say because I'm not 100% sure what each of your state's requirements are. But anyway, basically, it's our fundraising for protecting private property rights, promoting the real estate industry, and supporting Realtor candidates and Congress people and people in our local communities that support our issues and understand how important private property rights really is, right? It's so important, it's so critical, and probably more so now than ever. Home means so much more to people right now, as we realized in 2021 and moving into this year. And so earlier, so that's kind of a little bit about RPAC. There's a different investment tool for that. And perhaps somebody here can explain that further for each of your locations. Talk to your local association, AE or government affairs director, or whoever leads your legislative type processes. They can hopefully walk you through RPAC and give you an idea of what it is like for each of your states. Every single dollar counts in your investment. I started 13 years ago. I didn't get involved in RPAC from a major donor standpoint until a couple years in, and I made a promise to this old crusty guy, John Scarborough. He was the best, and he was just really a wonderful person. And he passed away a few years ago, but I made a promise to him that I would invest in RPAC. And I will tell you, even at my brokest, no money coming in, I felt like I stayed committed to RPAC from 2008 through 2010, when the market was really tough. I stayed committed to it. And 13 years later, and last year, September, I want to say August or September, I made my last payment to be inducted into the Hall of Fame for a $25,000 contribution. And so you get a plaque up on the building at NAR, and you get some other recognition and stuff for it. But for me, that's not why I do it, right? My why is because I believe in what we do. What we do matters. We impact people's lives every single day. And as we saw in 2020, more so than ever. And it's critical that we take it seriously. And that part of taking what we do seriously is investing in candidates that support our issues. And so I'm obviously passionate about it. And so that's really it in a nutshell, you guys. That's kind of what I have for you today. I'm happy to take some questions. This is my virtual group hug for everybody. And thank you for having me today, and wishing you guys a super happy New Year. So
hi,
Nora, that's what I have.
Thank you, Melanie. We had a couple of questions, and let's see.
Sure.
We have one from Cheryl. What are some of the issues, and you mentioned about the fires in your area, that cross your desk, and how have they been resolved? Any other issues that come across?
So, so if we're talking, to be fair, we should probably just talk more like globally, right? As far as like NAR and what's going on there. I really think that the highlights really have to do with our critical priorities this year. And I know that the member engagement, we are, from a member side, we are rebuilding the database. So I don't know if you guys heard of the NERDS database, that number you have to plug in for everything you do. Well, that database was the best technology back in like 1992, and we've pretty much had it ever since. And so there's been a pretty significant investment in that. And so it's important to understand who our members are, because when we understand who our members are, we start to understand what some of the issues are that are facing them, because we'll be able to better communicate with them. Oh, speaking of communication, I have a soapbox moment. Do surveys when they come out, please. If you ever see a survey from any of your associations, do them. They are legit, and we use that data because we can't make decisions. And you can't bitch about something if you're not willing to give us the information. Like, duh, no mind readers.
And
we all want that crystal ball.
We will be sure to do our surveys. As you're closing out the screen so we can have the full, I have another question for you. So just to go over, I think Marie had it right. For ACT, it stands for Accountability and Cultural. What does ACT change stand for again?
Oh,
Change.
ACT is accountability, culture change, and training,
Okay.
specifically around fair housing.
Okay. And then when will it be rolled out via NAR at a state level? Because it would be great for broker owner, meeting in a box to train their team, et cetera. Do you have any idea?
You know what? I don't know that answer. I will find out and get it back to you. And I would like to stop my screen share, except I can't figure out how to get my screen bigger again.
Just go
Oh, there we
stop
go.
share on the top.
There we go. Stop. There we go.
Great.
There we go. Perfect. Yeah, so I'll find that out for Nora. You may also want to try NAR.Realtor and see what you can find out there. And there might be some information related to that there.
Great. Well, Melanie, I want to thank you. Any other questions? Hi, Marie. Nice to see you.
I just had a real quick question. Melanie, how does I always want to say, well, how can we help? So, are there things at the local level? Is there something we should be looking for? Does it bubble up through the local association is supposed to be sending out information about how we can get engaged? So just in terms of education and initiatives to help our locals and our own.
Yeah, so I think it's understanding, first of all, as a member, what your local leadership legislatively looks like. So we have local government relations in California. So find out kind of what your local association structure is if you're looking on the policy side. And just in any way, if there's something that's interesting to you and is your passion and you want to teach on it or you want to engage related to it, then find out what committee exists at your local association and then start with that. Traveling to the national meetings, depending on where you are, I know can be a little bit expensive. And I know that can be a deterrent for some of our members. But there are ways to do it economically, teaming up with somebody, maybe going for a shorter amount of time. But exposure to understanding how it works is really important. I think you all know that networking is important, as you are an organization that does that. And you also get more of that by attending the meetings in person. And you can also talk to your local association about how to do that.
And then Cheryl had a question here too. Do you suggest leadership training as a starting point for local positions?
Absolutely. And it depends on what kind of training, how it's conducted. And I do think, though, that at the local level, basic emails and communication to your members to say how to get involved would be so fantastic. And we just it's not equitable around the various associations, depending on the size and magnitude of what you're getting involved in. So, but I do think that that local leadership, this kind of training, again, collaboration, these are great places to start. And hopefully there's some information here. Feel free to reach out to me later. It's fine. I'm happy to answer questions.
Great, thanks.
So,
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
Hi, Melanie.
hi.
Can you talk a little bit about what you learned from the NAR Leadership Academy? I've done the state level Leadership Academy, so
Yeah.
I don't know if California has a local one and what you actually got out of the national one.
I would say what I got out of it and what you get out of any smaller group setting is connection. You get to know people, you get to know who they are, some leadership skills, really diving into how NAR operates and how you can be effective not only at national level, but your state and local as well. But it really is focused on understanding the national organization and if that's some place that you want to be. So, yeah. And I think that that's really what I think that's really the end game for all of them, right? There are some local academies. Some of the bigger associations have local academies. We don't have a state one in California, interestingly. I think Florida and Texas have one though. And some of the other big states and bigger associations do something like that. And I know that some of them would be super happy to allow any data to model it if you wanted to.
Thank you. Well, Lisa, I think you were going to wrap up, and Melanie, thank you very much.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Melanie. It's been wonderful to meet you virtually. One of the many blessings of our new reality is that we get to do these kinds of things with people from across the country and share it. Thanks to Christine McClellan, who's on now, who is our CTO, also the co-chair of our communications committee, is going to be posting this up on our YouTube channel, as well as repurposing it in many ways. I want to also mention that next week we have Elizabeth Mendenhall is coming to speak with us. Yeah, one of our past national presidents, very exciting leader. I believe she'll be speaking on unicorn leadership. Not exactly sure. We're messaging over the holidays, so we'll get that information out to you as quickly as we can. Again, Melanie, thank you so much. This was so great, and thank you so much for your service. It's because of people like you that strengthen, that also make it feel achievable and attainable for all of us, that, you know, someone in a rural area just working as hard as they can, but can also do have the kind of impact that you're having. It's a real, really very inspiring for myself, and I'm sure I will speak for all of my colleagues. So thanks again, and we look forward to next week. And again, happy 2021. Look forward to seeing you at our next Monday Mastermind.
Bye, everyone. Thank you very much.